Welcome to Big Al's House of Munch, brought to you by Ask Alec Meal Prep. I'm Chef Alec, and today we're going to be showing you how you can spend some time at home by doing a little cooking class with me. I run a meal prep service, and I want to show you how you can cook some great food for yourself, for your family, or for your meal prep during the week. Today, what we're going to be covering is how to make smoked salmon crepes. What we want to remember to do, first things first, is that we want to wash our hands and make sure that we have all our mise en place. Mise en place means everything in place. So we want you to gather all your ingredients and tools, and we'll get started at the cutting board. All right, so as we were talking about, we've got to have all our mise en place set and ready to go. What we're working with today is we're going to set up crepes. We're going to want to have about a full cup of water, a half cup of flour, any flour that you want. You can use all-purpose flour, you can use oat flour, you can use a high-protein flour if you'd like. Got about a cup of spinach. We've got about a tablespoon of honey, and we've also got 5 cherry tomatoes. About 2 ounces of smoked salmon. 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche. 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And about 2 tablespoons of butter. So let's get started by making our crepe base. We're going to take the flour. We're also going to take the water. We're going to maybe use the whole cup, maybe not, but we're going to get it to a consistency that's loose. Now, we don't want it thick like cake batter. We want it to be a little bit looser. That way the crepe can spread evenly and thin, and we can make really thin, really nice crepes. If it's too thick, it'll end up like a pancake, and we really don't want to have a pancake. We more want to have a nice paper thin crepe. Going to add a little bit more water. And that's about the consistency we're looking for. A little watery, don't worry, it's going to cook off in the pan. It'll become nice and thin. Put our spatula back. We're going to move down the way. We've got spinach here. What we want to do with the spinach is we want to make a chiffonade or a ribbon with the spinach. So we're going to layer leaf by leaf, stem down, making sure that we're keeping them in line with each other. Slowly but surely, we'll be able to stack this up. And we're going to roll them up together after we cut the stems off. So as I keep throwing them together, and you can use as much or as little spinach as you want, or any other salad green that you like. But we've got a little stack here. What we're going to do, we're going to cut off the ends. We have a little waste bucket underneath our prep deck right here. We're going to roll them up like a cigar. And we're going to cut them nice and thin. Get these nice, great ribbons. Just like that. Nice and pretty, really thin. We'll set those to the side. We'll get another stack going. And like I said, you could use any green that you want. Sometimes I like making this with arugula, but most of the time I like spinach because it's nice and light. So again, we're stacking up one by one. This time we're going to roll them up first, and then we'll cut our tails into the waste bucket. Again, nice and thin, good ribbons. Set those to the side. We got to do this one more time just to make sure that we have enough. Good. Again, roll up one more time. Cut the tails into the waste bucket. Nice, thin ribbons. Good. Perfect. Take a little bit of those extras. We'll save those for later. And we can take our ribbons, throw them back in our container right here. We have these 5 cherry tomatoes right here. We're going to make some slices of cherry tomato. Really straightforward, really simple. What you're going to want to do, find the tips, cut off the tip. That's waste. And then we're just going to cut nice, clean slices, just like that. You could add another vegetable in here if you wanted. Pretty much anything can go inside of a crepe if you really think about it, but we're going to have a little bit of tomato. Instead of basil, we're going to use a little bit of spinach, and then we're going to have the creme fraiche and a little bit of a balsamic glaze. Really just want to make this really fresh and really light, something really good to have for breakfast or for brunch on any given day. Great. All right, so we've got our tomatoes done. We want to wipe our knife, wipe our cutting board off. And now what we're going to make is a quick balsamic glaze. We've got our honey right here. Going to take our whisk. We're going to add a little of this balsamic to the honey. You don't want to go crazy. You still want it to be a little bit thick, but we're going to blend that up a little bit. Make sure that it comes together real nice. And what we're going to use this for is we're actually going to put this as the base for our crepe to add a little bit extra flavor, another element, and then we're going to use it for a little bit of a garnish. That's looking good right there. You might have a little balsamic left over. That's okay. We just want to make sure we have a nice consistent glaze over here, which is looking pretty solid. Give that a quick taste. Good. All right. Super easy prep. What we're going to do now is we're going to head over to the stove and we're going to get to cooking. All right, so we're over at the stove. We've got our pan hot. What we're going to do is we're going to get set up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of that butter that we just had over at our station. We're going to drop that into the pan. Make sure it starts moving real nice. Definitely want to make sure we coat the bottom of the pan. We don't want the crepe sticking. Once that gets hot, we have a little third cup right here. We're going to scoop some of our batter up and out. Give it a nice drop. Move it around in the pan. You want to coat the whole bottom side of the pan. So the point here is we want to make sure that the crepe cooks nice and thin all the way through. So it looks a little lighter in the middle. We want to make sure that all that cooks off. It's going to take about a minute. Edges look good. It looks thin. So we're going to let it ride for a little bit. So when I was 12 years old, my grandmother taught me how to make crepes. She was from Serbo-Croatia. She calls them palachinkas. And whenever, I'm feeling a little bit down, or if I want to have something that really reminds me of my childhood, I generally tend to make crepes. Now, I prefer a sweet crepe over a savory crepe. However, a crepe is a vehicle. You can pretty much add anything you want to a crepe. So as we see, the center is getting a little bit darker, which is good. Let's get a little bit more light in here so you guys can see a little bit better. That looks really good. Now we want to make sure that the crepe cooks up real nicely. We don't want it to be loose or thin, so we're not going to mess with it too much. I tap it a little bit just to get some air flowing through the center to help the middle cook a little bit better. It's looking real nice. Nice round edges. And we're going to want to make sure that we can lift it. As you see, I work with a smaller spatula, but you're welcome to use a rubber spatula. Give it a nice flip. Good coloring going on there. Looks very nice, looks very clean. Going to let that run for about another 30 seconds. Again, tap the middle to make sure that you can get some air flowing through it. Now, I don't like to cook on the hottest setting when I'm making crepes because I don't want the crepe to burn. They're very fragile and very light. So we want to make sure that we're on a medium-high setting. pan nice and oiled or buttered or panned, however you feel. And we've got some good color forming on the other side, so it looks like this one's ready to take out. Let's grab ourselves a plate. And voila, we have a crepe. All right, back over from the stove, we have our crepes. We are going to take a crepe, place it down on the cutting board. What we want to do is grab a little bit of that balsamic glaze we made a little bit earlier. Take a nice little spoonful across the center. Perfect. After we take that, we're going to take some of our spinach, lay it down in the middle. You can add as little or as much as you want. That's good. We're going to take some of that tomato that we cut up earlier. Again, as little or as much as you want. And then some of that smoked salmon right in the middle. We're going to fold up both sides, roll from the bottom. Tuck our edges. We're going to do our second crepe, same thing. Little spoonful of that balsamic glaze right in the middle. Our spinach. A little bit of tomato. And again, some of that smoked salmon that we have. Fold in our sides, roll it up, tuck our edges. And we have two great crepes. We're going to move these over here real quick. We're going to take our cutting board out of the picture. And we're going to get plated. Going to take a little bit of that creme fraiche. Drop it on the plate. Give it a nice swoop. Grab our crepes. Oops, little tomato wanted to get out of there. Gonna take a little of that balsamic glaze. Clean up our edges. And that is how you do salmon crepes.